welcome everyone to another episode of Well That's Terrific, the podcast about anything and everything horror. I'm Tom Cruise.
And I'm upset.
You're upset. Why are you upset, Mr. S?
Because the NFL playoffs were going on, and like the Giants got embarrassed.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Fan,
that was really bad.
It made me sick.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I would be sad too. I would be sad too if I cared too much about.
I had to share that with you guys. So I'm Mr. S.
All right, guys, and we have a nice stacked episode for you guys today. As you can see by my background, we're talking about yet another Kevin Williamson movie, Sick.
Yeah.
This is now on Peacock. This came out not too long ago. I know a lot of people were talking about
January 13th release date, and it's been gaining some attention.
Yeah, I would say mostly because it's another Kevin Williamson movie, and obviously we've been talking a lot about Scream, so you know those two things being tied, of course, it's gonna get a lot of attention. I actually do like the cover art too, as well. You know, this all red with the person with the mask on and the knife. I think it has a really nice design. What do you think?
No, I think it's dope. It's two of my favorite colors. I love red and black, and they do it really well. It's very mysterious. It works well. You know, this movie itself is just. I didn't really know about this movie until you kind of like introduced it to me. I was away for a bit. I was in Florida, and then
I just saw it was trending. It was blowing up. A lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah. I think there's like definitely Kevin Williamson is definitely a reason like that it is trending. However, I do think there are a couple of different aspects in here that kind of bring people in, and obviously one of them being COVID.
Yep. It kind of takes place in the real world, right? This is one of those things where like you could say it takes place in the real world. What's another movie like this? Obviously, the big one is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where it's like if it gives you that feeling where like these aren't actors. This isn't like it gives you that feeling where like it could easily be taking place in real life, and there's things behind that, of course, with the whole COVID pandemic, and we can get to that, the reason behind the entire movie, but. I think this is one of those movies that, after the pandemic, it's actually talking about COVID, and I see that happening a lot more in TV shows and movies now.
Right, and that's the word that I was going to use is real. There's something about this movie that kind of, maybe 100, 200 years down the road, they're not going to really take it as seriously, but us living, in this timeline and having experienced COVID for ourselves and, the tragedy that it was, it definitely hits home in the most negative way possible, and because of that we fear things. When we fear things, it becomes a lot more real, right? So that's why here this movie kind of takes us back, and the way they kind of do things here, the way they display certain things, kind of resonates with us. So that for me, unfortunately, like it is a negative thing, COVID in itself, but it's the fact that it is a little bit real to me is a plus, because that's something today that I don't think we really see a lot in movies or TV shows is
I agree
having that belief like, this is actually real life,
Yeah. I mean, it's the entire premise of the movie, so we can get started, right? Plot synopsis here. Due to the pandemic, Parker and her best friend decide to quarantine the family lake house alone, or so they think.
So they think, yeah.
So they decide to quarantine, and obviously you can already see it's clearly about COVID. The cover art, you see this man with a hoodie and a mask on. And I think my favorite part about this is kind of like those elements of like, who's the man behind the mask and the mystery behind anything. It's one of those things that you see in Scream as well. You're trying to guess who's here. Yeah, you're trying to guess who Ghostface is, and there's even some of that Ghostface formula with like teasing them with the text message, which
right.
Again, I really enjoyed that, especially early on when like the opening act with the first actor where he's getting messages and he's at a grocery line and he doesn't know who it is. He just flips them off. He's like, "Fuck you!" Like he thinks that they're playing around with him. And I thought that was pretty cool. And there's a lot of that in this movie, so that I definitely appreciate. That's one of the pros I would say when it comes to this movie.
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. That formula that Kevin Williamson is known for is the mysterious, who done it, who is it type of movie. And it works here. And, that, again, ties to the whole realism of it. And you're right, that whole introduction scene right there where he's in the market, they do a great job of also showcasing the struggle of trying to buy everything, make sure that you're stacked up in
this
like
is early
groceries,
COVID.
because of the pandemic. And on top of that, you have the whole, like you mentioned, the texting and who is it, and like let's be honest, a lot of us would react a certain way. Besides the first text, I think he was like, yeah, sure, I'm down to party, whatever the hell it was. I'm like, bro, just ignore it. Like, whatever it is, just ignore it.
So one of the things, it made sense to me because this was like early on. This is the first character. But as the story goes on and we get introduced to the rest of the characters. So we get introduced to Parker Mason, played by Gideon Adlin. I'm sure I'm butchering her name. But
no, you good.
We get introduced to DJ Cole, played by Dylan Sprayberry. And we get introduced to Mary Woodlow, played by Bethlehem Million. And as we get introduced to those other characters, we start getting more of the responses that I expected. Like, for example, when Parker gets text, she immediately just goes blocked. Like, like, yep, that sounds accurate. That's what I would do. And it being early on, I'm not surprised that he was kind of like, okay, maybe this is somebody that I knew. So he responded like, yeah, let's go party. And then I don't know, when it comes to like later on and he starts getting attacked, that's where I was like, oh wow, this is different. And I was actually heavily invested early on. Once he got attacked and the first death scene, it definitely hooked me in. I will say that.
Yeah, because of that whole like mystery element, and this whole COVID role, COVID playing a role here. It's like you knew that it was something more like than just the isolation, right? Like, not just more like, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's COVID because like they have to set up the isolation to the lake house, and that's their story. I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it as okay, there's something more to this whole COVID thing. It's not just the isolation aspect. You mentioned the beginning scene, and you're right. It was a little bit, different, and I liked it. I was, into it. I never saw an apartment with two entrances, or is it just me? Like,
yeah, I did notice that, but I've seen those more so in like hotels and stuff like that. But not really
hotels,
like that.
But not like that, like a beat down building. Like,
no. But one thing I did want to say is that, some of the things I just didn't expect, and actually, you know what? We'll get to them. But when it comes to this particular movie, just bringing back up what you just said. Some of the things threw me off, but I'll get to them when we cross there. Sorry for the confusion. Good continue.
No, go ahead. You're good. Let's talk about first the characters, right? This movie doesn't have a lot of...
Yeah, there's like a handful of characters. There's literally like 6 characters in this whole entire movie.
Legit. They introduced Parker and Miri. They're like obviously close friends. They're going to a lake house to quarantine. Yeah. And they do a great job of shooting the whole, lake house and like the whole inside of the house and outside, and kind of the whole like setting up the whole movie for you, just in case like down the road they foreshadow certain things, you kind of understand what they're doing. That's a good job. That was my question with this, though. To be honest with you, I'm like, okay, you have 2-3 characters, so how is this gonna really work out? Like, like you have this is a slasher movie, right?
Yeah, it makes sense giving the whole COVID context, right? Because remember, the entire reason for the movie is they're quarantining, so there shouldn't be many people around.
So yes, that I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is, to make a movie and a slasher movie at that, like, how are you gonna do it with like 2-3 characters, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
That was my
how
thing.
Many people can you kill? Yeah,
exactly. So that I thought was a challenge in itself, and this movie is a challenge to do when you introduce something like COVID. It's a whole different 100%. Element here. So they did that, and then I gotta say, I found Parker extremely annoying, and I mean extremely annoying. Like, she thought she was like the shit, and like,
early on, 100%.
Yeah, and it was just like, I thought her character was whatever, but I must say, I don't think, besides Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead, I don't think I've ever did a 180 like this one before, like with this character. Like, she really, turned around, and she really, wowed me with a lot of the decision making that she did.
Yes, 100%. I couldn't agree more with you, especially towards the end of this movie. There's just a lot of change that happens in the character, but not only with the character itself, but given the context and the circumstances she was in, just kind of forced into a situation where, like, it wasn't really her fault.
Right.
But yeah, and I definitely get what you're saying when it comes to the COVID thing, man. It's tough, but that's where I feel like the whole like battle with the Cole character. So like the one guy character in this movie, or the one guy not outside of the Kellers,
Yeah.
like their little brawl. That's where I thought it was like intense. Like this had to last a little longer. They had to go a little bit back and forth. It had to be brutal because there wasn't going to be many deaths in this particular movie.
I gotta say, man, DJ, that guy, like he was my favorite.
No, he was. Like, I really liked him. He was a nice guy. They literally killed the good guy. It's like,
because usually in these movies you kill a guy who's like so like ignorant and like rude and all that stuff.
You don't usually kill the good guy. The character
is a good guy.
The character we hated was Parker.
That's what I'm saying. It's a whole shift of emotions with these characters. And DJ, man, he was so selfless. He was so nice, and what he wanted with Parker was a nice relationship. Like he was trying to be good to her, and he's like look, you're hooking up with this guy. Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I want a shot here. Like you mean it wasn't something like, yo, I just want to have sex with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it was something a lot more in his heart. So
yeah, I appreciate the fact that they did something different. I always appreciate something like that. Whereas like again, you normally kill the bad guy. In this case, we weren't rooting for the protagonist of the movie itself. We liked the guy, and then he ended up dying. So you definitely feel for his death because he was a good guy. And then the main protagonist, who we hate, just ends up having this sort of like twist or turning point where she's kind of forced to realize that she did a lot.
She did a lot, and I gotta say, this movie does a great job also of like putting yourself in these positions, and the decisions that these characters make, like DJ and Parker, are decisions that I would have probably made in real life. Like everything they've done, I would have probably made in real life. Like maybe on DJ's
I've never thought
end,
about texting 911 though.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I honestly,
absolutely.
Last time
Have you seen Scream when Sydney does it?
Yes, okay, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, the last time I ever saw that was Scream, and it was what was it? It was a website, and I was like, is that a real thing, guys? I didn't know you can text or email or go to a 911 website. I've been fortunate enough never have to call 911, but I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if I would have tried that. And come on, hey, I'm gonna call out something here. There's no way that guy saw the router flicking and was like, "Oh, somebody's using the internet."
that I thought was a complete. That's where I agree with you there.
Like, how many IoT devices do you have on your network? Like, it could have been a fucking Chromecast or some shit. Like, it could have been anything.
Like, bro, I'm in tech, right? Like, we're both in tech, and like sometimes I don't even like know what the fuck is going on with those lights.
I was like, I get it. So they're activity lights, but it could have been anything. It could have been it could literally be the Alexa. Like, it could be anything. Like the guy looked at the router and said, "Somebody's using the internet." Right.
So that was a little bit. I mean, you got to keep the story going. Right?
I know. I just want to make fun of that real quick.
So then here's the thing. This movie is very suspenseful. I think that's one thing I do appreciate about this movie.
A good job of that, especially early on.
I think throughout, like now,
thing is,
let's not be confused here.
The reveal comes pretty early in this movie.
It comes pretty early, but let's not be confused here because the rhythm, the flow of this movie in the beginning is a little bit slow. But that's because of the introduction to, obviously, COVID, the lake house, the characters. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll that's a pass. But the suspense throughout from the beginning, I think it flowed like water. I thought it was great. Like obviously with like the walking into the house and him like looking at them talking in like the patio, and then being inside the house, all the phones are gone. Like just throughout, like I thought it was very suspenseful. They did a great job doing that. You mentioned the plot twist there. It came early on, and the plot is in fact that there are two people instead of one, right?
Yes.
Intruders or whatever.
So again, spoiler alert. Obviously, we've been talking about this movie for a minute, but yes, we get to a point where she finally gets one. There was a bit of a chase scene.
Yeah.
One of the girls is hurt. She finally gets one, and what does she end up bashing his head in with, like a bucket or something?
It was like a pan, not a pan. It wasn't a pan, but more like a pot, I think.
Yeah, it was like a
silver pot. Yeah.
Yeah. So she ends up grabbing this pot and just beating him to death, pretty much. And then, you think, oh my god, that's it. This movie's over. And then plot twist, of course, it's another guy. And he immediately starts, breaking down because his friend just got killed, which we later found out was his son. Which again makes total sense. However, then you start getting the reveal of who are these characters and stuff like that. And I do feel like that happens early on. And I selfishly, I prefer the mystery where like I don't know what's going on. I don't know who the killers are. I'm always more intrigued in a movie in those aspects. Once the reveal comes, unless it's something like truly mind, like a really big revelation, it usually my intrigue level usually goes down. Like I'm not as intrigued anymore as to when it was a mystery. That's just me personally.
Okay. Yeah, no, I hear you. Here's my thing. I think I agree with you to a degree. I do think that the more mysterious, the better. I feel like you're more into the movie and more like anything you can think anything in your head as to the reasoning why and who it is. For me, I do like reveals because it kind of puts things together and you think about, oh, did I think of that? Like did I miss that? Like stuff like that. Of
course, I want the reveal. I guess I don't want it too early.
Yeah, and my thing with that is, so we compared this to we compared this to Scream, right? Obviously, Kevin Williamson is a co-writer with Caitlin Crabb.
We didn't mention that. Yes, this was co-written by Kevin Williamson.
Correct. Co-written by Kevin Williamson. So, like, obviously, the mystery element is there to form. However, what's different in this movie is the fact that the killers we've never seen throughout this whole movie. So we can't even guess who.
Yeah, there's
the intruders are, right?
Guess. Yeah.
So that's a spin, like a little bit different there, and I liked it. I really didn't like it, and their motive, is I think a really good one, and it ties to the whole COVID aspect. So if you've seen the movie, the motive is so the killers obviously are revealed three, right? You have a husband, a wife, and their son.
Yes.
Their son is the one who got beat to death by that pot by Parker, and the mother then they tie up Parker, they put her on the couch, and they tell her, the reason why we're doing this is because you were at a party, you hooked up with our Benji. Benji was the boy's name.
They basically traced everything and confirmed that she actually infected one of her children, who then died. So it turns out the son that got killed there is actually not their only son. There was another son that died of COVID. Right. And he was one of the guys that she hooked up at the party. And she was asymptomatic, so she didn't know that she had COVID. But then again, why was she isolating in the first place, right? Do we ever get that reveal that she did know that she had COVID?
No, she didn't know that because they tested her then and there.
Yes, so the mom is there, and she that's another big reveal, right? She actually thinks she's getting away at one point and gets into a car, and I love this scene so much only because it's so relatable. Where it's like she's telling them like, "Can I get into the car?" She's like, "Do you have a mask? Like you don't have a mask." That's so relatable, especially in real life. You run into that, especially early on during COVID. They didn't let you into places when you didn't have a mask, and especially if it's a contained place like somebody else's car. So 100% makes sense. And then of course she captures her by putting chloroform in this mask. So when she puts the mask on, she goes to sleep, and that's when we get this sort of reveal. Just quickly run that out. But yeah, so she actually tests her right then and there. But again, I guess my bigger question is, we know that she's quarantining. So she's quarantining for a reason. Either, she was exposed or she knew she had it.
Yeah, but if you knew you had it, why are you bringing your friend into this?
That's true. That is 100% true.
That's my only gripe with that. Like I said, I think the motive is legit.
100%.
It's by far better than Scream 5's motive. Even though, by the way, a lot of you people like that motive, I think you guys need to go get checked out. Just saying. But do you know why? Do you know why? Because during COVID, this was a serious matter, and like I would read these articles while everybody was like locked down, like teens going out to party, massive, like what I'm like, and like people as a result were dying. There's always
going to be rebels. There's always going to be rebels. That's the thing when it comes to rules, right? Is that yes, you should follow the rules, but just inherently by it being a rule, people are going to want to break it. And I think that's when it comes to. Yeah, I mean I just feel like that's where it comes from. Like, yeah. I can tell you not to do something. That's only going to make you want to do it more.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there's support there with their motive because of like 100%. All these articles that we've read and these people who are just being very careless and trying.
But they did take it to a bit of an extreme, right? They start. Yeah. It's revealed that they literally went down the line of all the people who basically everybody who got infected to the point where they traced it down to her, who was the direct person who infected their son, and they killed everybody in the line.
Yeah, like Tyler. Tyler was the intro killer, intro scene where he died too, and that's why we know he was killed.
He was the one that infected Parker.
Right. right?
Yes.
Um, but yeah,
It's
you know,
like this family tree of COVID.
yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, like, obviously, like, I would not kill anyone for that, you know, but you know, it does suck because a lot of people weren't really taking COVID seriously, and a lot of people, as a result, ended up dying. Like, if you look at the numbers, like, we had like countrywide, like, over 6 million people have died, and like, it's a serious matter, you know. And if you're not taking it serious,
I get it.
you
No,
know, I guess they took actions into their own hands.
exactly. That's pretty much what you, you hit the nail on the head right there. They basically said, you know what, I'm going to take actions into my own hands.
Yeah. So
And that's what Sick is. And I love the name. I actually really enjoyed this movie. Especially considering what you mentioned. It only had what, maybe 6-7 characters total if we're counting some of the characters that we see for like 5 seconds. Like I mentioned early on, I did really enjoy the mystery. I love the end as well, especially all the back and forth. The actual fighting back. I always love it when it's not like completely one sided, and then it's not like a quick death.
right,
I appreciate
right.
when it's something where like there's actually fighting. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
I agree with you. I think I think you touched on it when you said real, right? I think this whole movie is different because it really doesn't feel like a movie at times because of how real it is. You know, it had a lot of challenges. You know, it had a lot less characters. It had, you know, to deal with COVID, and you know, the actions, like I said, her running up the stairs, like, you know, going on the roof like side, and like trying to swim away, like all these things are like very real. There's no supernatural element here. There's no, you know, killer showing up from place to place out of nowhere. Like, it's a real movie, and you know, I think that for me is what sold me on it. Like, does it stand out? I mean, yeah, I would say it probably stands out, but nothing crazy. It's not at the top of my list, this movie. I think it does a lot of things right. I did like the characters. I like the characters' arcs, which is something different
100%.
as well. And you know,
I like the writing in general. Kevin
yeah, I
Williamson
like
is a
the
very
writing.
good
It's so simple. Like, it's so simple,
it's
but
so
so
simple,
real,
but it's so-
and that's what does it for me.
It's so simple, yet done so perfectly. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, your rating, I don't know when if you want to.
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. 8
You give it an 8 out of 10?
Yeah,
Yeah.
solid. Especially like considering the budget of this movie, very low budget, but you were able to do this much with that. Amazing. I hats off. I thought this was done very well. Directed by John Himes. I just want to make sure that I give him a shout out. I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I agree. I think 8 out of 10 is like on my what you call it, projections here too. I think it's great. Again, I think the simplicity and the challenges that this movie, you know, encounters is like no other. I really do. I really feel like it's like no other. It's simple. It's just simple, and it's very real, and that's why I feel like I was interested in it. I feel like I would watch this like with, again, a group of people.
Yeah,
and just,
I would recommend it.
reminisce.
If anything, I would lean actually just I don't want to backtrack too much, but I would lean into saying this was more than what I expected, to be honest.
Right.
A lot more than I expected. If anything, I would give it an 8.5 now because of that.
Yeah. I think the attention this movie has gotten is good attention. And not like obviously the killings. I'm not, you know, promoting any of that, but like just showcasing like how serious this matter was and still is today. You know, it still is today. But obviously we're doing a little bit better with the resources that are being used around the world. But I like it. The great attention. I think this movie said it was shown at a film festival in September of last year, and now it's released on Peacock January of 13th. So if you have Peacock, go watch it, enjoy it, and let us know what you think.
Yep, definitely. Alrighty then.
Would you like to move on there, my friend?
Yes, go ahead.
What are we moving on to?
Boom. Am I going to do it? There you
The
go.
Last of Us.
Yes.
I know.
So I've spoken about this multiple times. You've never played the games.
I have not. I have not. N-O-T. Not played the games. I heard good things about them, but I don't know anything about the games. Even though I like to play games,
I do want to say this is a good opportunity for us. So, with you not having had played the game, I don't know if I said that right.
You said it right.
This is a good opportunity because now we have two takes on this, right? As somebody who's played not only the first game but the second game, there are two games. We're both watching this show. I can review it as somebody who's played the game, and you can review it as somebody who's just watching it as a series. So you have a clear mind to this. Now, with that being said, I'd probably say if you're gonna do that, maybe don't play the game so you don't see any spoilers.
Yeah, no, it's but I speaking of which, I think the game is actually on the PlayStation Store as a free trial. I think I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, they remade the first one, and I think you have to pay for it. I think maybe maybe the trial of the non-remake. I don't know, but I would say if you're gonna play the game, might as well play the newer version of it, right? I don't know.
Yeah. How far back has the game been out?
Ooh, like the first one was a PS3 game.
Oh, no way! Far back?
Yeah, it was a PS3 game. So the original The Last of Us was a PS3 game. It's already been remastered and remade. So it originally came out in 2013. Nice. And then when the PS4 came out, they did a remastered version of The Last of Us Part 1. And then eventually towards the end of the PS4, they came out with The Last of Us Part 2. Then for PS5, they re-released, or I guess they just upscaled The Last of Us Part 2, and they remade The Last of Us Part 1, where it's basically the same game. They just upped all the graphics. So they're like...
Nice.
There's basically like three versions of the first game. Yeah.
It's been done before. But that's good.
It's a really good game, though. Listen, I'll tell you this much. I don't think there's a game to this date with a better story. I can't think of a game with a better story. A story-driven game. I don't think. Like, it's just... I've told you this off camera before, or off podcast before. I started this game with my girlfriend next to me, and she was like, you can't play this game without me now. Like, she wanted to watch me play the game. And it's because you get very invested in the characters, you get very invested in the story, and you want to see how things happen. You want to see, how things unfold. And then now we have a TV show. So it's very exciting. I'm very happy with it, and I'm happy with who they casted, most importantly.
Very nice. So, like, if you're out there and you haven't played the game like me, if you want to, you still can. But I think for me now, I think I want to watch the whole show, and when it's done, I'll probably go play the game because like there's a lot of like comparisons apparently people are doing from the game and the show itself, and apparently like a lot of scenes from the game are really in the movie. Like they follow it like word for word. So it's like
we can get into that, right? I'm happy that you've seen the first episode. There are 2 episodes out now. Yep. I'm happy that you've seen the first episode because we can actually get into some spoiler talk, and this is like I guess the big emotional moment from the first game. There are a couple, but this is probably the biggest one. But I guess first let's go into the show, right? So, The Last of Us. Okay. After a global pandemic destroys civilization, a hardened survivor takes charge of a 14-year-old girl who may be humanity's last hope. Yeah. So, of course, if you play the game, you're familiar with this. We get introduced to Joe Miller, now played by Pedro Pascal, and great. Ellie Williams, played by Bella Ramsey. We know her from Game of Thrones. We actually know both of them from Game of Thrones. He's also the Mandalorian. Yeah. We know Tommy Miller is played by Gabriel Luna, who we know as Ghost Rider. He was in Marvel. He played Ghost Rider in one of the Marvel TV shows. Then we know Marlene is played by Merle Dandridge, who we also know from. The fun fact about Marlene is, she actually played the character in the game. So how cool is that? She was able to not only reprise the character physically, but she actually did the voice of the original game. But I'm pretty sure we've seen her in something else as well. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But I thought that was pretty awesome.
Nice, very nice. On the premiere, just some numbers out there. 4.7 million users watched the premiere on the Sunday of January the 15th. And for the first week, it generated over 10 million viewers, which is a lot. It's a lot of numbers. It's outstanding. And I'm happy. I want it to do well. I think a lot of people are not gamers. I think this is a great message for a lot of people that don't play games. Like, games are just not games. There's a lot of story that goes into games, a lot of dedication 100%. On hard work and development, and a lot that makes you really invested into it. And this is the reason why. Stories like these, right? So I think that's a good thing for us out here. But for me, I my thoughts, impressions for the first episode. I liked it. I really, really liked it. I thought Pedro Pascal is always great. It's a good first episode. It is an hour and 20 minutes long on HBO Max. It is a great introduction to the characters. They don't really tell you more about the infection and like the virus and what it is. So I really can't say much on that.
There's more on that in episode 2. Just want to mention.
What happened? There's more than episode 2. Okay, yeah, which I was assuming anyway. But just the characters in 2003, like where people were when it happened, and then 20 years later, like where they were. I mean, how it's obviously progressed in like kind of like the diverse groups. Was it Fedra and something else? I forgot what the other one's called.
The Fireflies.
Fireflies. There you go. Boston something. And it's great. I got to be honest with you, though. I do feel like I've seen this before. I've talked about The Walking Dead. I've talked about, World War Z and stuff like that. And it's not a zombie apocalypse show. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just, we've seen this before. But not as, I want to say, not as real as this, I guess. It's people just taking precaution, and people just being scared. It's not like they're bad people. It's just nobody wants to die, right? And like in this, like moments like these, like I wouldn't want to drive and wait in traffic knowing there's a virus going on. So like when he takes a turn, it's like I would do the same thing, stuff like that. And obviously, spoilers if you haven't seen it, like the whole death of his daughter was just so, touching and emotional.
I guess I think it's good that we're talking about this and Sick in the same episode because it's another pandemic, right? And I think that's where the struggle is going to be with this TV show. It's differentiating itself from all the other TV shows that came before it, all the other movies and everything. Because yes, it is kind of sort of the same idea when it comes to like these sort of infected kind of zombies, this virus. Because again, the entire idea isn't unique. But you also understand this game came out in 2013, and there's a lot more to it as well. As things progress, you're going to start to see. But the tricky part is navigating these things where there are some similarities, right? The show immediately feels like A Quiet Place / Walking Dead. That's kind of what it feels like. But this came out way before A Quiet Place, right? Like the original game had the same ideas, and that was in 2013. So like. I'm going to tell you it was before The Walking Dead. I know The Walking Dead's been on for a while, but then again, how many zombie movies, shows, and everything have existed even before that? It's one of those things where like it's the same, but it has to differentiate itself.
It
has to stand out,
and it does. It does. I'm not
and
it will. It doesn't because it does.
And it will. I 100% think it will as well moving forward. Just because I know the story, and I think if it's executed properly, and so far it has been, I think. The tricky part is like you mentioned, like video games and how a lot more goes into them. I think my question is going to be like, what happens moving forward? When if this so far has been a success, I want to see how other games are developed and what other ideas come from this, because I think this game is the outlier where like the story works, like it's really good. I don't know how, like I mentioned, this probably is the best story mode I've ever played in the game. Video games have been known for having like very weak adaptations, and I don't blame the video games themselves, but it's just difficult when there's not enough source material. And I think
that's right.
The creators of this, it's written by Neil Druckmann. And there's more than enough source material here, so I'm just interested to see what happens moving forward with more games and stuff like that, and seeing if they decide to make other TV shows based on video games. Only because again, The Last of Us is very unique, so I don't know if they can get away with doing that for everything. But with that being said, we can talk about the show. I did want to say the intro. So how did you feel when his daughter died?
I thought that anything is possible.
Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I knew something was going to happen because it showed anytime there's a flashback, there's always some type of, message showing like that the main character is driven by something or motivated by something. And I wouldn't say I was waiting for her to die. I just thought that something was going to happen, either Tommy or her. Like I knew one of them had to go. And it's his birthday too, and it's like this this is gonna be a day he's going to remember for some reason. So
yeah, as somebody who knew the end result, I was just trying to see if it was still going to happen, because sometimes when they adapt things, they change things, and I was like, damn, they have to keep it, because that as much as like it's a very sad thing, it's what motivates the character. Story. Yeah, it wouldn't make Joel if this didn't happen, and when this happens in the video game, again. I was probably sadder when I was playing the game and this happened, because it happens like it's almost scene by scene where he's like holding her and she's hurt, she can't walk, so he's carrying her, and then the guy shoots him and you think like, oh shit, they killed Joel, and then find out, she's dead, and I was like, man, it's brutal.
I've said this before, when talking about The Walking Dead, the reason why I like these type of shows because it's not predictable.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes a show to me, is like where you're really invested in these characters, and it can be taken away from you, like in a heartbeat. And like for me, like she's the opening sequence. She's the one carrying the whole introduction, like with her father's birthday and taking
the entire intro follows her.
It follows her completely, and like
and you learn that. That's so new.
Much through her. You learn so much just through her, and like at the end for her to be like shot and dead, it's like wow, it's an emotional appeal right there. So that for me is what I look for in a show, and it was great. I think I am thankful that I haven't played the game now, because like everything I watch now is going to be new to me, as opposed to like knowing what's going to happen. And the thing about that is like this show, like I said, you can probably attest to this better than I can, but it's pretty accurate, like pretty like scene by scene. Like that's what I'm hearing.
So far it's been pretty scene by scene. Now, I want to touch in on something else real quick. The casting, right?
Okay.
We knew about this casting early on. I was following all the news of this Last of Us TV show because, of course, I played the video game.
Of course.
And Ellie's a huge character. Joel's a huge character. So we want to make sure these characters are casted pretty well. Pedro Pascal, hats off, man. He's amazing. We know this.
He's a G.
But then the tricky part is Ellie, because Ellie's such a big character as well. And she's this snarty teenager who curses a lot, and I think she does a great job. I saw episode 2 today, and I was like, damn, that really feels like Ellie. Like playing the video game is like the tough part for me was like, damn, how are they gonna get somebody who's gonna be able to be Ellie like she was in the game? I thought it was gonna be very difficult, but I thought Bella Ramsey does a great job.
From the first episode, I think if they were going for like a little girl who's just snotty and like rebellious and just like doesn't give a shit, like they did a great job. Like everything she did was just great, especially the scene where
that's exactly how
she helps kill the guard. Like well, not that she helps, but she kind of retaliates because she knew like she was going to be tested, I guess, positive for her virus. And that's one thing too. And correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think I've seen a post-apocalyptic show or movie where they have the cure besides like I Am Legend, right? I'm trying to think, and like even I Am Legend, by the way, doesn't really show you how they fix it, rectify the whole end of the world type thing. But with her, it's something different. Like, what does she say? She goes, I've had this for weeks, she goes, you don't really see this after a day or something like that. And I'm just like, I mean, this obviously because you play the game, but I don't know what that means yet. Like, I mean, obviously that means that she's probably a cure or something, but I don't know what that, in her hand means. Like, so I'm sure in this next episode 2, they're going to explain it a little bit more into detail.
Yeah, they continue right off the last episode.
Good.
And
that's good.
I'm very excited to see how they do all of this, especially, again, there's a lot of material here, but I want to see, again, they have to tread lightly. You're following the source material, but how are you doing this, right? Are you doing the entire game? Like, is the entire game just going to be one season? Is it going to be multiple seasons? I would guess multiple seasons. And then...
How long is the game, do you know?
The game is long. But with that being said, it's like, there is one main goal in the game. And I just don't know... I don't know. I'd be surprised if they finish the entire game in one season. And not that they can't, because they definitely can. But it's just like, you want to get the most out of this show, right?
Of course.
If they do a one season thing, of course, that'll be fast. Be fast. But I don't know. I guess I'm more interested to see how they do everything moving forward. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for you to see episode 2. I'm excited for everybody to see episode 2.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to keep on watching this show. So
and usually when we talk about like TV shows like this, we kind of like review it in chunks as opposed to per episode. But like we're always down for whatever you guys want, so just let us know. But I'm looking forward to episode 2. I'm actually gonna watch it with my wife because she's into it now, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so
I'm looking forward to finishing it and then playing the game afterwards just to play it because
there are 9 episodes of season 1.
Okay, there you go, 9 episodes. Sounds good. Okay, so that's for The Last of Us right now. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any news, any updates, or anything?
I do have something else that I want to talk about. So let me actually pull this up real quick. Sorry, I actually got the wrong photo here. Give me 1 second. So there is something else that we haven't touched up on. Sorry, this is not loading here, but there is something else that we haven't touched up on that I've been wanting to talk about, and I'm excited that there's some progress being made here. Now, I want to clarify a few things only because...
Is it what I think this is?
I think so. I think so. Hold up.
We just had a moment right there.
I think so. It's just that there's a lot of questioning what's going on with this series, and of course, wow, this is not okay, guys. Just give me we're gonna leave this background for now. So, I want to talk about Friday the 13th.
I knew it. Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
So, we knew that they're working on a TV show.
Yes.
Now, Sean S. Cunningham is actually not the one working on the TV show. No. It's, what's his name? Victor. Come on, give me his name. Is it, what's his name? Victor Miller.
Yeah.
Victor Miller. Now, just to clarify some of the details here. So, there was a ongoing battle between the creator of the character of Jason and then the director of the actual Friday the 13th movie. And basically what ended up happening after the lawsuit was they basically said, you have the rights to Friday the 13th or the character Jason, but not him with the mask and not him as an adult. So that is what they're planning basically for the TV series. And then now we get an update from Sean S. Cunningham, who's developing an actual Friday the 13th reboot. So we're getting yet another reboot of Friday the 13th.
There are talks about it. So,
well, it said the last update was 3 days ago, January 20th. Yes. And I'm seeing, yeah. So he's developing it. Yeah. So you could pretty much take that as talks. But then I'm just happy we're getting some sort of progress, right? After all this time, we haven't been getting anything.
And I think that's what he mentioned. He said the fact that he was able to work with him on the project. I think he was working on a project. I forgot what it was called. The Night Crawler or something. Right here. I'm going to quote him right here. Okay. He says, this is Jeff Locker who is producing The Night Driver. There you go. Correction. Sean hired me to do a rewrite of The Night Driver, and after working closely with the director Jeremy Weiss and him on that, we naturally got to talking about Friday the 13th and House. Jeremy and I pitched our dream reboot of Friday the 13th with Sean's blessing to keep developing it with him. Obviously, the prequel TV series has ignited interest and onto the film, so we're hoping that surrounding excitement will inspire both sides to come together and give us Jason on the big screen again for the first time in 14 years. I am 100% for that, and I'm hoping that it pulls through and we get that because, man, it's been too long. Yes. 14 years, 2009. That was the remake that had happened, and
that was actually one of the better remakes, which is the most disappointing thing out of them all.
During that remake period, that was one of the best remakes.
Yeah, better than the Freddy remake, better than the Halloween remake.
Freddy! I don't even mention Freddy. That's trash. No, that Halloween too. It was better than that too. I gotta say, it was just it was really, it's disappointing, man. A lot of people invested in this franchise, and the killer, the game. A lot of people are playing the game.
This is the game. So I want to touch up on that. The game, who Sean S. Cunningham was supporting and everything, ended up having to stop developing it and supporting it because of the whole rights battle and everything going on. So that they stopped updating it. They stopped really, don't even know if the servers are still up, but they stopped doing a lot for the game because of all the rights and all the issues that we're having. So now
we're new updates coming, and then they just had to stop it because of that whole lawsuit. But
yeah, and now we apparently, we might potentially get a new movie, and we're getting a TV show. I guess it is what it is.
Things are looking up.
I'm just happy we're getting some content, man. Like, it's
sure.
been too long. It's been a waste of time. Like, all this time we could have had so much come out. I just hope that after everything, it's worth it. I'm excited to see another Friday the 13th movie. Yep. This is one that if it ever comes out, we have to go see this one together.
Of course, absolutely.
We have to go see this one together. We have to go see Friday the 13th. I know Friday the 13th just passed in terms of the day, but there is another Friday the 13th this year in October, which I thought was pretty cool.
Ooh. So, yeah, gotta do something about that.
Yeah, we gotta do something about that for sure.
But yeah, that's Friday the 13th.
Just a quick update.
Yeah, absolutely. Another quick update that I just wanted to say, haha, told you so. I mean, really to nobody because obviously this was going to happen. But Megan 2.0.
Yes, that's the official working title.
Working title. It is a sequel to Megan, and it will feature Megan. It's set to release January 2025. So that is something, that I predicted that was going to happen. I think it's an easy prediction. Anybody could have made it, to be quite honest with you.
I have to say, I've never gotten so many messages from everybody about Megan. Like, I can tell that the movie's huge. I didn't even think the movie was that good. But I'm getting messages from everyone. I'm getting messages from relatives I haven't heard of, like long lost cousin. Like, hey, have you seen Megan? I'm like, what? Like, they know that I like movies, so they're asking me. I'm like, wow, this movie must be huge. Like, when so many people are talking about it, I'm like, really? I was like, this is what's getting people up is Megan. I was like, all right, it is what it is.
If you have not watched or listened to our podcast episode, I think we did it 2-3 weeks ago. We reviewed Megan. So if you've seen it, let us know what you think about that. But yeah, I'm with you a little bit on that. It's not like it's something, oh my God, like, that stands out like that. But it
got
works,
the audience. It got the audience, man.
It got the audience somehow.
Do you have the numbers up for that one? I know that's still selling like hotcakes. I was like, if it wasn't for Avatar, that'd probably be number one right now.
Nah, I don't have the numbers, but I can pull it up easy right now. But it was making like...
No, it's still selling really, really good. Everybody's still talking about it.
Here we go. The film was grossing over 124 million worldwide against a budget of 12 million, and it's currently the highest grossing film of 2023.
Look at that.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
Yep.
And just to be clear, I'm not preying on its downfall. I'm hoping that it does well. I'm for horror.
No, of course.
Movies in general just doing what they got to do. So good for them. 2.0. It's gonna come out just because of the attention that I knew it would grab it. So let that.
It definitely. I think they got what they did. They did a great job of capturing everybody's attention and getting everybody wanting to see it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter whether we like it or not. If you can get people to watch it, doesn't matter if they like it or hate it. You got them to watch it.
It's the truth. It is actually the truth. So, I don't know. There's something else that I wanted to talk to you about.
I actually have some news for you.
Oh, God.
So I didn't want to talk about this only because I'm not too far along, but I'm still early on. I don't even want to say what chapter I'm on, but I am reading The Silent Patient.
Yes, let's go, guys.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I have to say, it hooked me immediately. Immediately.
I'm just gonna put like a poster here so people can know what we're talking about. Just give you 1 second here, because this is I like this. Okay, Silent Patient. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of a little bad right here, but this is The Silent Patient. Okay, it's a book by what's his name? Alex Michaelides. I can't even pronounce his name. He's Greek, so yes. Alex Michaelides, whatever.
Yeah, he's a great writer. I have to say, he got me in early.
Listen, my wife and I read this. We read it probably within a week or two because we could not put this book down. Every single family member that we had recommended this book to, they read it the same way. They could not put this book down. We must have recommended it to a handful of people. They finished it so fast.
Yes, so I've been trying not to finish it fast because I've been doing like weekly discussions with my girlfriend as well. I don't want to like. Trust me, I want to. I really want to. It's really hard to put this book down. I have to say, I do like. I really want to say like, this is the first horror book that I've read, and I'm like, I want to read.
I'm telling you, this book is a good book. Like, you will not be able to put this book down. And just
I can testify for that. Yeah.
Thank you. And like, if there's a synopsis here, if you want to give it to them, like, I don't know if you do it since you're reading.
I can't see it. I can't see it.
What happened?
I can't see the synopsis.
No, I mean just from your own personal, like, so basically it's just about a guy. He's like a therapist, psychotherapist.
Yeah. Yes.
And he has a patient who is a famous painter.
Yes.
Her story is that she shot her and killed her husband, and ever since that incident, she has never spoken a word. Yes. Not one word. And he obviously goes in there and tries to figure out why, and all that. He does his job, but
that's pretty much it. I thought you were telling me to read something behind you. My bad.
No. I'm sorry. No, I just meant like as in like your personal synopsis. But
no,
it's so good. I'm so glad that you're reading it. I'm so happy, and I hope you enjoy it throughout because it's pretty great, man.
I told you it was on my list. I just had to finish what I was currently reading, and I finally caught up to it, and I have to say, man.
And honestly, really I'm so glad because he has I've read like his other books, and like there's one what is it called, The Maidens, and it's really good too. It's like the same premise, but like this one's obviously a little bit better, but that one's great too. Like it's always mystery, and it's always like you got to figure out what's going on, so it's like it's really, really good. So I highly recommend.
And they're making a movie of this, so there's that.
They're making a movie out of this?
You didn't know that? Yes. Yo. They are in fact making a silent patient movie. That is an actual fact. Yes.
Yo, I legit have goosebumps right now. I have, because my wife and I, every time we read like a book, we read the same book together. We always say for some books, we say this could be a movie, easy. And this was one of those books.
Yep.
Yo, that is amazing. Good for them. you guys do you. Okay. Moving on here real quick. I just want to mention something here real quick. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but just really, really quick. Really, really quick, okay? I got to talk to you about... Can't get it here.
What is it? What is it?
Just right here.
Oh, you mean yes.
Scream 6. Just real quick, real quick. The trailer came out last week. We talked about it. I mean, we did a live reaction on it. It's on YouTube if you haven't seen it. We posted TikToks about it because we have a TikTok page at Well That's Horrific, just in case you want to see snippets of our episode and whatnot. And a lot of people were commenting on some stew theories. There's 2 videos over there of how one theory does not make sense and one like possibly being stew. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's commented and shared their input because you guys have some great theories. And I just want to say to some people, you guys have some theories that just do not. I don't know how you think that's even a theory. I'm just being transparent. Some people saying I think Billy's back and like Jill's back. Like really think about what you're saying before you comment.
Billy got shot in the head, but
like no. I'm telling you, like a lot of these theories, I love the input. I absolutely love the input. Some of these theories, I just. No bueno. Like, no bueno. Just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's commented and, again, like, shared their input because that is so fun to read because we share it here, too. And there's a lot. We're going to do another Scream episode, obviously, as we get closer, and I'll share it with everybody. We can even do, like, a poll, who do you think the killer is, and kind of just why, and have fun with that. But for now, just really appreciate everything you guys are doing, so thank you.
Yeah. Again, I definitely want to talk more about Scream as we get closer to the movie itself. Yeah. Probably gonna stay away from any more trailers and stuff, but we'll definitely touch more on Scream the closer we get to it. And again, it's only like 2 months away, so
yeah.
But
that's all I have, Tommy. You have anything else to add?
No, that'll be all. You can send us out.
Just want to say again for everybody, whether you're listening or watching us on YouTube, thank you so very much. You can follow us on social media where Tommy has it right behind him, on Instagram and on TikTok at Well That's Horrific, and on Twitter at That's Horrific. Because if you don't,
well, that's horrific.
Peace.
Peace.